I am Johnny Massacre, and welcome to my world. May your stay here be interesting. Tonight, an angry, shouty, left-wing politician has escaped jail for calling for murder, but the wife of a right-wing politician reacting to the same incident went to jail for 30 months for pretty much the same thing. Who is with me? Give me a hell yeah! So, do you remember this guy?
They hurt. We've got children and women using those trains, destroying the summer relatives. They are disgusting, nasty bastards, and we need to cut all their throats and get rid of them all. I just want to say thank you all. I'm going to leave it now. And free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Thank you, God bless you all.
So that is 58-year-old left-wing politician Ricky Jones. He's an elected member of a local council responsible for local governance, decisions on services, planning budgets, that sort of thing. Just the kind of guy I want running my local town. There, he was reacting to protests of the Southport stabbings, where British people rioted because a guy called Axel Ruda Kubaba, who looks like a character from a horror film and is totally British and not foreign in any way, shape or form, murdered a bunch of school kids. That guy, Ricky Jones, has escaped jail for publicly calling for a mob to slit the throat of right-wingers while miming a throat-slitting gesture. And he was just acquitted Friday by a left-wing DEI judge. Did he deserve jail? Debatable. However, what makes this case significant is the disparity between how this left-wing councillor was treated reacting to those Southport riots and how the wife of a right-wing politician was treated reacting to the same riots. So you might have heard of a woman known as Lucy Connolly. 10 days before that guy, Ricky Jones's arrest for calling for right-wingers' throats to be slit, a childminder called Lucy Connolly said on X, quote, "Mass deportations now, set fire to all the Ucking Fay hotels full of the Arstead Bays for all I care. If that makes me racist, so be it." She said that in the wake of the Southport riots, where people were protesting the murdered school children under the age of 10. Now, pay attention to these numbers. Lucy Connolly was arrested 8 days after her comments. Ricky Jones, that Labour councillor, was arrested 1 day later. Lucy Connolly pleaded guilty 3 weeks later to inciting racial hatred. And just over 10 weeks after her arrest, she was sentenced to 31 months in prison, with 40% to be served behind bars. Ricky Jones, on the other hand, was sentenced to 0 days in jail, 58 weeks after his arrest. Lucy Connolly, 31 months in prison, 10 weeks after her arrest. Ricky Jones, 0 days in prison, 58 weeks after his arrest. Lucy Connolly's appeal was denied 6 months later, and her daughter was 12 at the time of her sentence. Lucy Connolly's husband is a Conservative councillor who served on West North Hampshire Council. So she's right-wing in the UK's political terms. And Ricky Jones is a left-wing councillor. And Lucy Connolly was jailed for saying mass deportation now, set fire to all the Ucking Fay hotels full of the Arstead Bays for all I care. If that makes me racist, so be it. She was jailed for 31 months for saying that. But Ricky Jones was not jailed for saying, quote, "disgusting Nazi fascists, we need to cut all their throats and get rid of them." And while saying that, he made the throat-slitting gesture. So a left-wing councillor and wife of a right-wing councillor both reacted to a Welsh-born first-generation Rwandan stabbing 3 kids to death aged 6, 7 and 9, but received very different punishments. This begs the questions. Does the UK have a two-tier justice system? Is the UK government running a propaganda campaign and psyop to cover up the consequences of its extremely progressive immigration system? Are the UK government punishing people for noticing the consequences of enforced mass migration? If two aliens came to Earth from Mars and have a baby in London, is that baby British? And should you be arrested for claiming that it's not British but actually Marsian? If the baby from Mars grows up and then goes on a killing spree and murders a bunch of infant humans, are humans justified in rioting? And are humans racist for calling the baby from Mars Marsian and not British? Does the baby from Mars have exactly the same ideals, moral standards, and capacity as the people from Earth? If someone calls you racist, does that mean you are now subject to the death penalty via cutthroat? And if yes, what happens if an insane low IQ person calls you a racist? Remember, Lucy Connolly made her ex-post after the UK media marketed the Southport mass murdering stabby person as a Welsh choir boy and even an unassuming schoolboy in the case of the Guardian newspaper, using this depiction when describing him. But in reality, months later, we found out that the guy, the first generation Rwandan immigrant who stabbed a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, and 8-year-old to death, actually looked like a demon that crawled out of the River Styx. But the UK media withheld his picture until sometime later. And according to police in the UK, this guy who essentially motivated people to riot in Southport after he went on his stabbing spree, had a PDF of an Al-Qaeda training manual titled Military Studies in the Jihad Against the Tyrants in his bedroom. But he wasn't a Muslim, and Islam is a religion of peace. Yes, the wife of a right-wing councillor was sent to jail for 30 months, 10 weeks after being arrested. The left-wing councillor in question today avoided jail completely 53 weeks after being arrested. And in and around that time, we saw the following crimes get less jail time than Lucy Connolly got. For example, in March 2025, a Deliveroo driver in Scotland forcibly assaulted a pregnant woman in her home, leading to a miscarriage days later. He received a 12-month sentence, less than Lucy Connolly got for tweeting out hurty words. On June the 17th, 2025, a 24-year-old man from Lewisham was given a 1-year and 4-month prison sentence after actually assaulting 6 women on board trains in London. His name is Zevina Gordon. Yes, he got less time than Lucy Connolly got for tweeting out that people can earn bay down Igrant May hotels for all that she cares. She got more jail time than this guy. 6 sexual assaults. Other crimes that occurred that received less punishment than Lucy Connolly after she went to jail include an Pakistani migrant who crossed the channel and raped a vulnerable 14-year-old disabled British girl. He was sentenced to 14 months in prison, less than Lucy Connolly. Also, 3 men groomed and gang-raped a 15-year-old girl from Bolton in a van, recording and sharing the act, and they all received suspended sentences, avoiding jail time completely. Yes, gang rape gets less time in jail than a tweet from Lucy Connolly. While she was in jail, Zia Khan, a Muslim man, assaulted 3 women at a Nottinghamshire hotel spa, touching 2 over their bikinis. He was given a suspended sentence. He didn't get any jail time at all, but Lucy Connolly went to jail. And so on and so on and so on and so on. So actually, real physical assault and actual assault in the UK can get less jail time than challenging the ramifications of the UK's mass migration policies on X. If you're angry or upset in the UK with the UK government's migration policies, then in the eyes of the government, one could argue that you're the problem, and so you should shut up and keep that volcano dormant. What could possibly go wrong? So the judge who let Ricky Jones off the hook and enabled him to avoid jail time is a DEI judge. It's been revealed that the judge in the case is also a diversity and community relations judge. So that is the person that let him off the hook, a DEI judge. What happened to some of the people in the Southport riots who were rioting over the stabbing of a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, and 8-year-old girl? Well, the most high-profile case was a man known as Peter Lynch. Unlike Ricky Jones, who avoided jail time for calling for people's throats to be cut, actually calling for this guy's throat to be cut, Peter Lynch was jailed for 32 months for shouting at police, quote, "You are protecting people who are killing our kids and aping Ray them," and for shouting scum, and he hung himself in jail. Whereas Ricky Jones is a free man. I really don't see that much difference between what they said. And actually, it seems like Peter Lynch said something far less egregious than Ricky Jones, but Peter Lynch went to jail. He killed himself in jail. Ricky Jones, smug-looking left-wing Labour councillor, is walking free today. So you have to remember the UK has no free speech laws. But even in the US, what Ricky Jones did can earn you a jail sentence. The US has speech protections, but calls to violence are not protected under free speech and the Second Amendment. So what Ricky Jones said could even land him in jail in America, the land of the free. But he didn't get any jail at all in authoritarian Britain, which is a special kind of irony, in my opinion. In my opinion, what Lucy said was less of a call to violence than what Ricky said. She said, "You can bay down the hotel haze for all I care." But this guy said, "Go out and cut their throats." I mean, this guy also said it as a public figure, as a Labour councillor who has a responsibility to his constituents. And the video that captured him doing that was watched millions of times. Lucy Connolly made a tweet that hardly got any traction at all, which she deleted 4 hours later. And yet she went to jail for 2 years, and that guy walks free. And she was sent to jail within 10 weeks. This guy, 58 weeks later, then he got off the hook. So this is a wild story coming out of the UK. Let's get some of the reaction to people on X. This is a great reaction by Paul Weston. He says, "I believe the following. Keir Starmer, the UK Prime Minister, and his comrades are disgusting neo-communists. We need to ut-K all of their oath rays and get rid of them all. How nice it is that I can finally say such a thing. Now a legal precedent has been set." So he is saying exactly what Labour councillor Ricky Jones said, but he just changed the wording. Instead of the right wingers, he changed that to Keir Starmer as the subject. And instead of using the word fascist, he said comrades. But he used the same words, saying that we need to ut-K all of their oath rays. So what he's saying is the UK government has set a dangerous precedent where you can now threaten to ut-K people's oath rays and you shouldn't go to jail as long as it's not a two-tier system. Very, very clever message there. Callum on X says, so you can say set fire to all the Uckingfay hotels full of the Arstead bays for all I care about the migrants. You can't say that, but you can say we need to okay all the oath rays and get rid of them all about the migrants, asking for a mate. So what are the rules in the United Kingdom? Lawrence Fox has claimed on X that 50% of the jury pool who cleared the okay everyone's oath ray man aren't even British. There you have it, chaps. Sleep well. And Grok says, yes, non-British citizens, get this, can serve on juries in the UK. Okay, even if they don't have citizenship. And the place where Ricky Jones was found not guilty has only 47.9% white British. So some people on X are saying that the reason he got off the hook was because the jury was of the same demographic as Ricky Jones, and they identified with him and stuck up for their own, for want of a better expression. Do you think that's true? The fact is, if someone like Tommy Robinson went out in public and said, we need to okay all the oath rays of the far left, you know he would be in jail quicker than you can say far right. I think we all know that. So I'm going to finish off with a quote from Aristotle, which is, it is the habit of tyrants to prefer the company of aliens. Citizens they feel are enemies, but aliens will offer no opposition. I see so much news of migrants getting away with egregious crimes in the UK. There's so much news on this, week in, week out. And I very, very often see native British getting punished for things that they've said and hearty words. It really, really does feel like the UK government hate the native British people and like immigrants from other countries with very different ideals and cultures more than them. That's my personal opinion. So it looks like it's a dark day for justice in the UK, and the likelihood of social unrest is growing by the week, would you not say? I'm Johnny Massacre, and if you're just joining us, we're discussing Labour councillor Ricky Jones getting off the hook for calling to Islay people's oath rays in public in a video that was viewed millions of times against the backdrop of a woman reacting to the same incident, the Southport riots, stemming from the stabbing of a 6, 7 and 8-year-old by a first-generation Rwandan immigrant who said something similar to Labour councillor, but she went to jail for it for a long time. If you have been watching from the beginning, stop your grinning and drop your linen, donate some cash, and let's keep winning. Streamlabs.com/Johnny Massacre, Patreon.com/Johnny Massacre, PayPal.me/give me a hell yeah. If you donate, I can make more videos like these, do the research on your behalf. You might not have time for it on the news, what's really going on out there in the streets, so you don't have to get it from mainstream media, who, as we all know, are often quite far from truthful, what with having sponsors and vested interests and stuff like that. Thanks everyone, appreciate you watching today. Hopefully be back with some better news very soon. Good night, take care, and